A very warm welcome to episode 2 of Chat with Rohan, where experience meets aspiration. It's truly an honor and a privilege to have you with us here today. Madam, not many people may know this about you, and the only way that I found out was because I did some considerable digging myself. It would be a great misfortune to not share this with the nation's youth. You have not had the easiest childhood. Would you like to tell us a little about your formative years in school?
No, 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 no. I don't discuss those things.
I
I
understand, madam.
I enjoy myself, and that's it. I'm very happy with my life. Challenges come and go, and that's what makes you who you are. And I don't think that's a selling point in my life.
Absolutely, madam. In fact, I believe your belief in scientific temper can perhaps be traced to your interest in medicine, biology, and Sanskrit. As a student at Hindu, you took an interest in debating at Delhi University. You went on to study and practice law. Would you like to tell us about your motivations behind becoming a truly public spirited intellectual?
Uh, Motivation, I think, comes from your roots, and roots are what your parents and the principal's parents ingrain in you. So it's like your AI systems built when you are still a baby, and constant feeding of the data keeps getting into and making you still better and better, and that's how all the engineering happens. So the engineering requirement is, of course, there's a physical frame, but more than the physical frame, it's the software which gets put inside you, and the software comes in the form of, as we call it, your basic belief system, which at a very young age your parents put inside you. So I feel that is what that's how machines operate. That's how humans operate. So my motivation comes from all that I saw during my growing up years. All that was fed into me by my parents, teachers, and anyone who I came in touch with. And all those experiences made me who I am and what belief I have.
Madam, you've always believed in realizing India's unutilized potential. Do you believe that India hasn't taken advantage of the huge data market that it is thus far?
No, I think we are not just a data market. We are a very, very developed civilization. So the principles by which we have lived, the kind of intellectual capacity this country has to offer, we have been colonized. And I firmly believe that with all our ability, with all our capacity, our true potential has not really come out. um, and Mr. Purkais, who's from the industry, so many other people who I can see on the panel. Um, I would say that when you look around, to look at all these people, I mean, they are world leaders in their respective field. Look at you. You could beat anyone, anywhere, in any part of the world. Um, your dad, Samir, could compete with anyone in that field, with anyone, anywhere across the globe. So when it comes to intellectual capacity of Indians, it cannot be challenged. And the reason is that traditionally we've always respected knowledge, and we've traditionally respected, education has been, we may have been illiterate for a long period of time around our independence for various exploitative reasons. But we as people have respected knowledge, and we carry a chip on our shoulders when it comes to knowledge. And thus, when you look around, you see that we have huge potential amongst our youth, needs to be harnessed, needs to be harnessed further. A lot of things have happened in past 5 years, 7 years, ever since 2014. A kind of a push is being given to digitization, to connecting, fair governance, etc. We've tried to work very hard, but I still feel a lot needs to be done, a lot can be done. And when you look around the systems, you see that we are dealing with an unfair system. Unfair not just in India, but globally. Uh, so there is a lot of IP theft which is going on right now, stealthily, which people don't even know. Where people may have spent 50 years, 100 years perfecting a particular technology. There are countries and there are civilizations who just steal it away, thieve it away, and they are gone. And they may be the largest manufacturer in the world for all you know. A lot of counterfeiting goes on. Our engineers, I mean, say from Sundar Pichai to Nadella to everyone else, our centers in Bangalore and everywhere else, Hyderabad, you can say to some extent now, Delhi also. These are the centers which have the best brains working on computer sciences. And we have, I think, uh, top 40-50% of engineering students are taking up computer science. When you see this scenario, you feel that we have nothing to lose. We have a lot of science floating around. But the flip side, which I want to bring industry in, the flip side
Mhm,
is we've become body shops, basically.
mhm,
We are doing the menial work and we have become the data colonies because our
mhm,
data is going to people which is not being harnessed by Indians. It on the face of it looks Sundar Pichai. On the face of it may look Nadella. But on the back of it, if you see the back end meeting or integration, then you see a different kind of board is what controls these guys also. A
mhm,
different kind of business model which is controlling these people. And it's
mhm,
not beneficial to India and Indians. We need to get on the hardware side of the business. So, software we've done very well, but I think in hardware, in technology, in manufacture, no data can be transferred unless there is a hardware which is transmitting it. And there we are missing out. Whether it's cameras, it's cell phones, it's computers, 70% of the world computers produced by one country, and all kind of stealth technologies getting used. And that goes for everything else. I mean, but during Corona, we have also shown that while we are very good with our software manufacture and we are very, very good with putting the right codes, but we can also come up with hardware. I mean, we could be self-sufficient in PPE
mhm,
kits. We could produce so many other things. We pharma industry we've shown that corona vaccine can be independently made in India. So on many things we have huge potential, and I think that's where a lot of work needs to be done. And I was listening very carefully and consciously to what Mr. Purkast has to say, and I genuinely feel, and I want to assure everyone in the industry, statutorily, I shouldn't say we've put in some mechanism where industry consultation is mandatory. There will be
mhm.
industry consultation on the working of the bill. Um, I want to bring industry on board if I could cajole them, if I could request them that please start getting into hardware. Please start getting into microchips. Please start building phones. Please start building computers, because no matter how successful you get in your software, and the money may come from software, but it's the hardware which is controlling the software.
Madam, speaking about the bill, your committee is being seen as the last bastion protecting the data security and digital sovereignty of India and its citizens. You've proposed 89 amendments across 51 clauses over 66 sittings to the PDP Bill 2019. What many people may not know that it is in fact a very citizen-friendly bill with a minimal role of state intervention. What has been your committee's principles and motivations behind these recommendations?
The motivation has to be balancing of various interests. And balancing of interests could mean privacy, and privacy is at times running counter parallel to public good, or is running counter parallel to um, other principles of governance, pandemic. So we have tried to carve out those things, and we have tried to uh, accommodate various points of views, giving benefit to everyone. End of the day, it's my country and my country's governance, my people. Uh, we all owe it to ourselves, to our coming generations, to our ancestors that we do a good job. And that's what has been the motivation.
Madam, you have walked the talk and ensured that several foreign and Indian companies deposed before your committee. The actions of some of these companies might reflect their belief that MNCs are bigger than sovereign countries and parliaments. Should e commerce companies be allowed to freely leverage data to conduct extensive digital profiling for market dominance? What are the benefits that are likely to accrue to Indian businesses from the data localization requirements?
Most of the Indian companies have localized their data, and they already in are localizing the data. Most of the foreign companies who are having the business uh, of dealing with our data have not localized, and they do not want to localize. They've been challenging that authority that we shall not, or do not do this or do not do that. Otherwise, we will leave trolls behind you. That's kind of not in so many ways, but in so many other ways. That's the kind of messaging. But then it is sovereign function of the parliament, and sovereign is who we as parliamentarians were representing. And sovereign of this country believes otherwise, and whatever we believe, nations of interstate principles which need to deal with it. And when I use the word interstate principles, I mean GDPR exists, and GDPR. These are the companies which are working across jurisdictions. So when you're working across jurisdictions, you know how you're framing policy working around GDPR. These are gimmicks basically, but there will be some kind of told to activate themselves in a certain way. But then it's the might of the people of this country which matters.
Mhm, mhm. Madam, you spoke extensively today about what kills democracy. You spoke about the manipulation of communication, deception, and stealth wars. Given the potential of certain platforms to subvert democratic ideals through targeted digital advertising, do you think it's time to let social media companies stop hiding behind the veil of free harbor? Should social media perhaps be regulated along the lines of conventional media?
You have to wait. The report, the day report gets accepted, you will see what
A
has
fair
been.
answer, good madam. Well, let me ask you another question then. In light of the recent privacy policy push by WhatsApp, which has now been challenged in the Delhi High Court, do you think that some social media companies are disrespecting the privacy of Indian users? Are they of the view that they can use this time to make hay while the sun shines through an ex ante white card before the bill is passed?
So I would put it differently. I would not go onto the names. The law as exists deals with it, and we have definitely dealt with many of these concerns. And uh, again, you have to wait to get the right answers.
On a parting note, I do have one final question, madam, and thank you so very much for your time. The current generation of Indians are digital natives, and there are many of us who would like to see you in the IT ministry one day. Do you have any advice for the responsible use of technology by young users? What is your advice to young India?
So I would say Mr. Purkais said that there is a consent fatigue when you read a 67 page of a contract, phone or setting it up, etc., etc. Um, and then it says the jurisdiction will be based out of California, and every equipment that any of us buys in the market says designed in California, manufactured in China. I think the youth of this country, especially the ones who are into computer sciences and understand data management and statistical analysis, etc., better, need to educate everybody else. Youth needs to reach out to people and thinking power behind the campaigns which go on. Earlier with media, I used to say that. I say it's not what gets printed is relevant. I used to read 11 newspapers only to come to the conclusion what must be the truth. Because between the lines you read, I mean, end of the day, this is what is being shown, but what is behind this? I mean, we know, and at least all of us, I have personally experimented this. That say I would say something which a person my age probably will never do or cannot do. I would say that I want to buy red shoes. You know it, I'll never wear red shoes. In my life, I won't wear red shoes or would never be seen wearing red shoes. But I'll purposely say those things and say, wearing a black dress with red shoes and a red clutch will look very nice, etc., etc. And suddenly, within 2 hours, I'm flooded with red shoes ads here, there, wherever, and everywhere. So it's very clear that I am being eavesdropped and I'm being listened into. Now, I do not think either wearing red shoes or being heard speaking those lines is an act of criminality. But definitely, without my permission, listening in is a definite criminality. It is definitely. Yeah, I mean, I can say this. I can stand on the city square and announce I want to wear red shoes. As Samir was saying, that we are in the habit of chatting and giving our life history on a train travel. We all love to. We are very open people, but is as long as I want to tell this. Now I wear red, white, black. It's nobody's business to know and listening to the conversation I'm having in the privacy of my office or in my room at home. And that is where one needs to understand technology. And that is where what happens with the technology is again something which all of you should carry that message, that how artificial intelligence gets built, the data is Indian, it's taken out of India. AIs are built, sold to us, built by Indians, and the IP is getting out of India. That's the funniest things. It's not as if this is getting developed by others. It's getting developed in India by Indians, but stored in a third country, IP going to a fourth country. So I think we all, as country, need to be a bit more centered around our interests as a country. And sometimes if we have to give up a little bit of, say, extra money in purchasing an equipment, a little bit of extra money in or a little bit of extra freedom that we've learned to so much enjoy, or convenience, so be it. Every country had to pass through those phases to reach the developmental level all of them have reached. We should also do that. You have to go through the rough and tough of life. And I just pray that I have a lot of hopes and a lot of expectations from my younger generation, like our seniors had from us. We have the same aspirational India. We have the same aspirations and expectations from everyone around us, and we tend to, the elders and seniors tend to pass on their responsibility to the next generation, which I would gladly pass on to my next generation, because I am very, very sure this is the brightest of the world exists in Indians, and they are the most knowledgeable and most cultured, hardworking people. And let's carry that flag forward.
Thank you very much for that inspirational note on Young India, madam. Namaskar and Jai Hind.
Thank you.